Think we're good. Hi everyone, this is Off the Post again, the expansion draft edition. The camera's not on me, so that's probably would be helpful if we started out that way. Well, I always struggle on show days, but so I'm here with Jen and Karen. Yay! We've seen Jen a lot. Karen, welcome back. But for the sake of it, what have you guys been up to? Jen, we'll go with you first.
I'm on vacation, so it's wonderful. I'm running a half marathon this weekend, so that will be less wonderful. I'm going to be cranky after that. But right now, vacation is great. And before I forget, I have to shout out to Ashley. She was on our page earlier and said she's been cranky at work all week because of the expansion draft, because she's a fellow Spirit fan. So here's your shout out, Ashley. Stop worrying your colleagues.
Man, it's such a departure to hear Jen say that and not be like, I'm at work.
Right.
Karen, long time no see. What have you been up to?
Just working and doing my writing for the Nerd Machine, and I'm writing a novel right now because it's National Novel Writing Month. So good luck to me.
Good luck to you for reals. You got this. You got this, Karen. So we're going to talk about expansion draft. It happened Monday. Mondays are like big days for news apparently in the WSL. I'll probably say this throughout the show as I see like people joining in, the viewers. But if you're watching now and want to like comment, share your thoughts, concerns, angst, if you're mad about anything, like some of us probably are, please share with us why you're mad about stuff. We're just gonna it's very kind of like informal today. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, like it's formal any other day. I don't know why I said that. Like we're really super structured. Like we're really super structured any other day. But like, we want to hear your thoughts as always. So please.
And we get paid.
Yeah, there's that. I just went to click you, Karen, and actually almost accidentally ejected you from the chat. So, thanks for joining us if you're watching. Sorry, we got getting kind of the sillies out. It's Wednesday, it's midweek. We're all kind of like, what? So we're just going to go through the expansion draft picks, talk about some stuff at the end. Again, hashtag WosoTalk if you have any comments or questions you want to ask us. Getting right into it, let's just talk about some general thoughts on the expansion draft. It's the draft. Oh boy, it's gonna be a fun show. Expansion draft. We'll start with Karen. What are some of your just overall thoughts? We're gonna go down and like pick by pick and kind of like analyze further. But just overall, what were your thoughts on the expansion draft?
It was interesting. I watched the Periscope that Orlando Pride put up, which was a lot of little hearts going. So I was like, oh my God, stop. But besides that, it was interesting. It was an interesting process. I don't think I've watched it ever before. So it was a learning experience. Besides that, I mean, some stuff happened that I expected to happen, like Klingenberg. And then there was other stuff where I was like, really? Okay, you guys. It's your decision, I guess. But besides, it was interesting. That's my word for it. Interesting.
That works. I think a lot of people would probably feel the same way. Jen, overall thoughts on the expansion draft?
Yeah, I was also watching the Periscope, and I was almost late to a lab practical because of that. So my bad. But yeah, no, I'm kind of with Karen. Like there was, I mean, certain players we were all like, okay, just get off the screen. We know you're going. Like whatever. But then others were shocking, like in good ways, and then others were shocking, like what are you thinking, Tom Sermanni? So interesting is a good word for it, I think. I'm kind of excited to see how it plays out. I'm not going to be an Orlando fan, but I'm still just excited to see what Tom Sermanni does with the lot that's been picked for that roster.
That's fair. We have one comment already. Jen Hayes, her overall comment on the draft. I'm still not over Orlando taking Spencer from the Flash. We will talk about that. Don't you worry. I am also in the same boat there and unhappy with that.
Me too.
So there's that. My overall thoughts, I think the Periscope thing, I'm just going to comment on that. I think that was interesting, and I applaud the Pride for, like, taking us there on social media. I think everyone thought when they tweeted out they were going to be, the draft was going to be on Periscope, that we actually were going to be in the room as they drafted, and so that would have been cool. Like, I understand, like, if they're talking about strategy and things like that, and we're on a conference call with, like, the rest of the owners and coaches and stuff like that, that, like, they wouldn't want to have that broadcast. Like, I do understand that, but it was a little bit deceiving. I think people thought we were going to be in the room because we started out in the room and we're like, oh, great, we'll be, like, actually here for the draft. But then it was, like, the social media guy or the host just kind of relaying things. And, again, a great job is better than nothing. Like, I think that's awesome that they still did something. I would like for them to perhaps, I don't necessarily know who the individual running the Periscope, like, chat was, but I know he was pumping out quite a bit of erroneous information, so regarding, like, NWSL rules and roster and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think it was a great idea. I understand why they couldn't be in the draft room, although it was kind of deceiving. But hopefully they will just, if they do any more, like, kind of Periscopes or any kind of videos, I just would like for them to have somebody that's more knowledgeable or prepared, I guess. And gosh, shut the comments off, shut the hearts off, shut the comments off, like, the comments.
I turned off the comments, like, immediately. I was like, I don't want to see this. But the hearts, you can't. I don't think you can turn them off.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that you could turn the comments off either. I mean, I wish that.
I'll show you how. It's very important.
Great. I wish that the Pride would. I don't know if the Pride had the ability to do that also, but it was just a lot of, again, some good comments, but a lot of just, like, angsty people who maybe didn't know a lot about NWSL and were just invested in one player and didn't know what they were talking about. And I was like, make it stop, please and thank you. But that's, I think it's cool. They tried to do something different, so I do appreciate that. But, not so great on execution or getting, like, anyone's name right, players, teams, any of that.
Or, getting Presley's photo up.
Yep. That's also important. I don't want to sit here and, like, bash the Pride because I know everyone has been doing it all week, but, like, things that are important, like, welcome to the NWSL, but please, like, it's very awkward when the player has to tweet and be like, hey, glad to be on your team. That's not me. But thanks for trying. So we'll just move on into it. Again, if you have any comments on the expansion draft, #WosoTalk. We will get to your comments, answer any questions you have, and all of that. I'm kind of going to gloss over, like, obviously Megan Klingenberg was picked number 1. We knew that was going to happen. She's going to Portland. Like, great. Oh, go ahead. What, Karen? Did you say something, Karen?
Oh, no, I was just saying bye, Kling, because she was on my team for like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Yep. So we knew that was going to happen. The Laura Harvey Shield. Hey, we'll take Kling, and then let you take her, but then you're going to send her to Portland. But it was just a Shield. All of Seattle's people were safe. High fives, right on. Second draft pick, I know hurts a lot of us, but
No.
Again, we knew this was coming. Ashlyn Harris from the Spirit. We knew this was coming, but do you all have comments on that? We'll go with Jen first there.
I mean, she's the number 2 keeper for our national team, so we know she's good. We know she's a native Floridian. I think she'll do really well there. I'm probably the only Spirit fan on the planet right now that's not, like, super angsty about it.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, and that she wanted to go there. Like, I understand she's huge for our team. Like, she came up big for us when she was there, outside of the World Cup last year. So she was huge for us, but at the same point, like, why do you want a player there that doesn't want to be there? Like, her heart was set on Orlando before they even announced the team. So why would we keep her in Washington? That just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm glad she's going where she wants to be, and I think she'll do well for them. And, I'm not going to bash her for wanting to be there. That's her hometown. So I'll always absolutely wish the best for her. But I do hope that our Spirit forwards sink a few on her.
Fair enough. Karen, any thoughts on that?
Yeah. like Jen said, I think it's important that players play where their hearts are. I mean, with some limitations. The whole Sydney Leroux thing that happened was interesting. But like she said, Ashlyn Harris was ready to move before Orlando even announced a team. It's her hometown. She's going to be the face of the team, probably. I don't know, Alex Morgan there, it might be like a double thing. But, I mean, she's the hometown hero. So that's going to get a lot of people out to their games, which is great because I always like to see a lot of people at NWSL games, no matter who the team is. So that'll be good. But, yeah, I'm kind of hoping that people start scoring on her, like, big time. I mean, what?
See, I don't know that I can say that. See, this is where my conflict comes in because I don't know that I'm going to be like a huge fan. Well, depending on who else ends up when all when the roster actually happens at the beginning of the season, like I don't know. I have mixed feelings about Orlando, and so can't say that I want people to start scoring on her because I like her.
I like her too.
But I know you guys like her, but I don't know that I can go that far. But I get what you guys are saying. But I just am going to be very conflicted about NWSL teams until everyone stops moving around and we have a roster and it's the start of the season. So there's that. I will say, they mentioned in the post-game media conference, and I will, we haven't really heard a lot from Jim Gabarra necessarily since he stepped in as the Spirit coach, but they did mention that, they had been in contact with Gabarra for a couple of weeks, ahead of the draft, like about wanting to take Harris, and I mentioned that they praised him for being like very accommodating, knowing like he was probably going to lose an allocated player either way, and he knew that like Ashlyn wanted to go home, so I always think it's good when there can be that kind of understanding, and you have a coach that's not going to be like, he could have protected her and been like, hey, I want you to stay in here, but again, like Jen said, and like both of you guys say, like, what's the point of, if they don't want to be here? So, they mentioned that they had something in the works for, even though it was only official for the expansion draft, that they had talked to Gabarra for a while about it. So, I mean, it's always good when, like, people actually understand that component and are thinking of the player's best interest as well. So, we haven't heard much from Gabarra since he became coach, but, kudos for at least, putting your player's interest and their personal whatever into account when making those decisions.
Yeah.
Next, Taryn Hemmings. I'm just gonna give my brief comments out of this. This is someone who I was shocked that Chicago left unprotected because she's been amazing for them. Yeah. And like, thank you, Orlando. Like, I'm glad Orlando took her, honestly, because she's incredible and is super talented. And I was shocked that Chicago left her unprotected. But anyways, Karen, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was actually really excited that they took her because I was also just like, what, Chicago? Really? Like, out of all of the defensive issues that they were having in the last part of the season and in the playoffs, she was one player that I thought was solid the whole way through, and they left her unprotected. Okay, maybe it was a player decision thing, or maybe they're just like, but they made a stupid decision, and Orlando grabbed her, which was smart of them, because she was pretty good. And I was a little bit shaky on Pride's defense because it looked like they were just like pulling a bunch of forward players kind of at the beginning there, but when they picked no, because she was their third pick, but when they were talking about players they were going to get, it was a lot of forwards, so I think she'd be a really good person to have on their back line, because I thought that it was going to be kind of weak, but she could pull something together, I think.
I agree, and they're still missing a left back, as they noted, and like other defensive, you can't just, I mean, they took what they could. They still have like 9 or 10 players to add to the roster, and they don't have anyone in that left back role at the moment. But I mean, that's a pretty good, pretty solid, choices thus far on the back line. Hemmings being one of them. Jen, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't really have like too much extra stuff to add So I'm just going to throw in there that she does have experience with other countries too, which is nice to have. I know she played in Australia. I think she played in Denmark.
No, yep, she played in Denmark last off season, I believe.
Fantastic. Got one right. Yeah, so I mean that experience is going to be helpful for Orlando too, having someone who has played, internationally and kind of seeing the different types of attacks that can come back there. So it was definitely a good move, I think, for Orlando, because I think she would have continued to grow with Chicago, and it was their bad for letting her go. So now she can grow in Orlando.
Yep.
Right on. And I feel like, so the Pride mentioned in the post-draft conference that there wasn't any kind of trade agreement set up for any of the players they drafted yet, but that it was a possibility. But I also find it interesting because I think it was the Chicago owner. Anyone who's watching, correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody tweeted, and I want to say it was Chicago, tweeted before the draft saying, oh, keep in mind as the draft happens that there are other pieces that need to fall into place with like some of these trades. And so I find it interesting that he mentioned that, and then, Orlando was like, no, we don't have any thing planned for any of the players that we drafted so far, but I definitely think most of us expect that some of those players who were drafted will not actually be on the roster for the Pride when the season starts. So it'll be super interesting to see, and we'll touch on that later, but it'll be super interesting to see if she might not be one of those people, just because it was interesting that to Chicago, like I said, I'm pretty sure it was Arnim who mentioned that, but who knows. Moving on, the next two hurt for me, and I'm going to lump them together. We can talk about them separately. Pride took Jasmine Spencer and Jamia Fields from The Flash, and that makes me sad. First of all, I try not to be super critical of The Flash, but I was really confused by some of the players that they left open, that they left unprotected. I feel not so much, just because, she's great, but if you have to, I don't know that you can leave both Spencer and Fields unprotected, but well, I guess they could have, because there's people who I would have not left protected over that. But so I was just really concerned. Again, though, I think Karen mentioned when we were talking about other players, or Hemmings maybe, we know that Western New York's been kind of a struggle bus, and that's being nice, perhaps. So I don't know if it was one of those things where, maybe, someone didn't, either one of them didn't want to be. I don't know, about that stuff, but that could also have been a reason they were left unprotected if they were asked to be left unprotected. I don't know that or not, but I was just very surprised that he left them both unprotected, because they both were solid in the attack for the Flash, and now I'm just concerned of what's happening with who is going to be your offense this year. Ready? They still have Lynn Williams, of course, and Elizabeth Eddy, who they protected once they took Spencer, I believe. But I just, I'm just kind of wondering what's going to go on there. But I guess we'll all find out as we do drafting and trading and all that stuff. But, Jen, I know you're also a sad panda about at least Spencer being traded, so we'll go over to you and kind of get your comments on that.
Yeah, I think the deal with Fields was probably, I'm 90% sure she's an FSU alum.
She is.
Yeah, so that's
I think so. Yeah.
That to me screams, leave me unprotected. I want to go back. So I don't know that that's necessarily the case. But
it could be.
I might make a bet on that she was because Tom Sermanni said right out when he got the coaching position that he wanted to bring people who were native to Florida.
Yep.
So knowing that, she could have easily said, hey, I'm native to Florida, leave me unprotected, and, it might have been her decision. Jasmine Spencer, I am heartbroken. I am so devastated.
Me too.
I love Jasmine Spencer so much. My fellow Terrapin up there. And, she, in a way, she's a Washington native because, she played for Washington. She went to the University of Maryland, but she's also a New York native. So, I think a lot of people are going to be upset about her move from New York, too. But more so for me, I think, it just hurts seeing her play on the same team as certain other players that we haven't gotten to.
We're getting there, don't worry.
It hurts, like it's eating me apart, and it's one of those things that I always say about Tobin Heath, where like I don't care if Portland loses or not, I just hope Tobin has a good game. I will always say that about Jasmine Spencer. Like I will back her 100%. So I will always hope Jasmine Spencer has a good game. I just wish she would have had a good game for Western New York instead.
That's fair. Karen, thoughts on either one of those two?
Yeah, I'll lump them together too. I was extremely surprised that Spencer was unprotected. That was just crazy to me. Maybe it was her decision, but I was just like, Flash, stop it. What are you doing? Because she was like one of the only people making a difference in their forward line. Like one of the only ones. Sometimes it was like she was the only one on the field besides Mewis. So it was just like, what are you doing? I guess they still have Sid LaRue, who is still recuperating, I think.
Part of me is still real surprised if she's going to end up. I'm doubtful she actually ends up playing for the Flash next year. I feel like something will happen, and we'll see. Well, as of right now, yes, you're correct. As of right now, they still have, and they have Lynn Williams too.
Sid LaRue
yes.
On their team as an attacking force, and
there you go.
Is an attacking force. She's super good, but we'll see about that. Eddie was pretty good. Fields was also really good, but she's gone too now, so that's really awkward for the Flash. I don't know what that team's doing. That's just that. I don't know what they're doing. They're crazy.
I mean, they still have Lynn Williams, who was outstanding, but again, like was injured at the end of the season, so they didn't have her. And if something happens to her, like, what do you do? And Eddie's great. Eddie can play any position essentially on the field and has throughout the season. And then I was very happy that Michelle Heyman was not taken because she was left unprotected, and I thought she would be. However, like, there's this whole thing again with like Australia, and like if they make the Olympics, like they're gonna be gone for some time, and so that's also awkward. And so and then they have Lady Andrade still too, which I don't know what like Colombia's situation with the Olympics is or not. But, I mean, if she is around, I hope that she didn't really have much of an impact. Not that she really had time to, but she didn't really have a whole lot of impact last year. I don't think she and Heyman played well together, but if Heyman is gone, then perhaps she'll have time to mesh with the other four. I don't know, but it's we'll see what happens, I suppose, but it'll be okay. Moving on, Cami Levin from Sky Blue. I don't have so much to say about it, so I'll just pass on over to Karen first.
Right.
We all on the same boat. They're good pick. Like, I mean, she's a solid choice. She's a solid choice.
You need defenders on your team.
Yes.
If you are a soccer team. That's basically all I have to say about Levin, because I don't really know. I mean, Sky Blue defense. I don't really know. It was a problem for them sometimes. Let's be real. But I mean, like I said, Orlando Pride needs defense, and who knows? Maybe she will be a really good addition to their team.
That's fair. I actually thought of some comments, but we'll go over to Jen for hers first.
Yeah. I mean, Sky Blue was such a tough analysis for her because, I'm sorry, DJ. Oh, Jesus, he's going to kill me. It was so hard to analyze her on Sky Blue because their defense was not... Like, it wasn't there. But, like, she did play on the U20s. She played on the U23s. Like, she won titles with them. Actually, she won the title when she was at Stanford, too, for the NCAA College Cup. So, I mean, she's got a good record. And she's still young. I think she's 25. So she still has room to grow. She still has room to learn. And, you know, they can get her with more experienced defenders, if they can, put her with people like Hemmings, who played on a solid Chicago backline and got experience from that, I think Cami Levin might end up stepping in and being hopefully better than Sky Blues defense was.
Right.
Yeah, again, it's nothing against her. I think that, like, and the thing about Tom Sermanni, too, I feel like he can really, like, get a lot out of players, too. Not that Guevara couldn't, but I think that he maybe has a little bit more patience in order to, like, do that. And so I honestly think that when I looked at Sky Blues unprotected list, I was kind of just like, man, like, any of them could go fine. They'll probably do well in, again, like you guys said, it was really hard to kind of judge Sky Blue, like, players individually, just because collectively they were not great. So, who knows? Like, I think, maybe under Sermanni in a different location and with, more experience. But I think maybe, I don't want to say more experience, but, like, with, like, different people and kind of just a change of, like, kind of scenery, maybe she'll be great. So obviously he sees something in her that he, really thinks that he can work with. And so like I said, they could have taken anyone from Sky Blue and I would have been like, okay, great, high five, like, good job. Honestly, and that's, they're all the people who were there were solid players, just kind of hard to gauge them last season, but I think they were all really great in general. So,
yeah.
Cool, great.
Good for you.
Yeah. Moving on. Well, this is going to be interesting. Moving on, as expected, and hinted on, and kind of just everyone kind of thought this was going to happen. Lianne Sanderson from Portland is hopping on over to, which is funny to me because it took so long to get her on the Portland roster. Like, there was all this time that she, like, paperwork and all this, like, took forever to actually get her on the team, and then, like, okay, bye.
Bye.
Jen, we'll go to you first because I know you have probably a stronger opinion on the topic.
I'm so excited that she's playing for Orlando and not Portland now. That, like, totally eliminated me having, like, major cognitive dissonance anytime I picked Portland to win a game. So this was fantastic for me. We know exactly how I feel about Lianne Sanderson. So for me, her going to Portland, like I said, or her going to Orlando just made it easier for me to cheer for Portland, especially now that Mark is there. Tobin's still there. I don't have to worry as much about Tobin getting traded now either. So, I mean, she's, 27 now? And everyone keeps going on about how she's in the prime of her career and whatever, and I don't see it. Whatever personal issues I have with her temper aside, as a player, I just don't. This was one of those Orlando, what the hell are you doing moments for me, because I don't really see her adding anything to them except maybe more issues on the field. So that's my opinion. I'm going to get all kinds of fun hate mail for that, but yeah, that's fine.
Well, I can help you with that, with the why Orlando in a moment. But Karen, we'll get some reaction from you first.
Right. Well, I don't have any personal issues with Sanderson besides that I have to back up and support Jay.
Thanks, Kay.
We buddies. But besides that, I really don't have any personal issues. I don't. But just watching the World Cup and watching her performance during NWSL, I don't get it either, honestly. I don't know if it's just that she's like a face for English soccer or what, but just watching her play, I don't see her making any kind of difference when she's out there. I don't know if it's a mental block that I have or what, but I just don't see it. As far as Orlando taking her, I think it makes sense because they've been kind of going for that face of soccer. Like they got Alex Morgan, they got Ashlyn Harris, who like maybe Ashlyn Harris. I feel like people who aren't that familiar with U.S. soccer really know who she is, but people who know the team and who like the team are obsessed with Ashlyn Harris. So that's pulling that in, and the hometown hero thing. So I feel like pulling Sanderson in might get some English viewers maybe. So that might be why. Other than that, I don't understand, especially like what you said, Courtney, about how Portland went through all of that crap just to get her onto their team, and then they were like, peace out, have fun over there.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye,
Jesus. All right. Well, I mean, I definitely agree. Like in the past, in the NWSL and even in the World Cup, like her form had not been super great, and I was kind of disappointed because I was all like, "Oh, Sanderson's like back with England and blah blah blah. Yay, that's awesome. She's great." So I mean, we haven't really seen it though. So I understand people are like, "What?" I will say, according to Sermani, he very much rates the talent of like the English players very highly, and for him, he sees her as a quality player, and it's a plus for him because she doesn't take up an international spot, even though she like plays for England. She doesn't take up an international spot because either dual citizenship or like a green. She has like a paper green card or something like that allows her to not count as international. So that's always really a plus for them. They get a player who has experience, like, for England that, obviously Sermani values and doesn't take up that spot, which we'll talk about international spots later because there's some also fun things going on with that. But, and I think the appeal to him with her is that, in his eyes, she can either play up top if needed or play well behind the striker. And so I think for him, that's what he sees as the appeal is that, he thinks she's a quality player. He obviously rates the English talent very highly and, doesn't take up a spot for him internationally. He did mention hoping to sign some more international players if possible. So I can understand in that regard, and he obviously sees things differently and has value for her. So, again, who knows? Maybe she'll gel well with the team. And obviously the fact that she – England doesn't play in the Olympics. They're not in the Olympics, so she will be here the whole season.
Yeah.
Is also an appeal. So, get it. Just a reminder for those of you who may be just joining in, if you want to add your comment, ask us any questions, all of that, hashtag WOSO Talk, hit us up. I have a question that I'm holding in my pocket till we get through these people. But if you have any other questions or comments, do you agree with us? Do you not agree with us? What are your thoughts on the draft? Hashtag WOSO Talk on social media, and we will read them on air. 3 more left. We got this. Number 8, eighth person, 8th round, Tony Presley. I don't know if that was a surprise for a lot of us. Maybe it was. We'll go to Karen first and let us know.
About that. I think that it was pretty smart. I'm having a total brain fart. Where did she play? Dash?
Houston, yeah, most recently. Yeah.
Dash, okay. I thought she was great, honestly. And I think that she would be a really good addition to the defense. And, I mean, she's super tall. Almost 6 foot.
She's quite tall, yeah.
Like, having an almost 6 foot person in the box for your team, whether they're defense or forward, is legit. Like, I can understand them picking her just for that. But she's also skilled. She's a skilled defender. The whole issue where they didn't actually know who she was even when they picked her thing, that was awkward. And that was awkward for her, unfortunately. But that's Orlando Pride's thing, I guess, is getting names wrong and faces. How do you not know the face of the person you picked for your team? Anyways, poor Toni Presley. I'm going to give her the respect she deserves, though, because I think she's a great defender. I thought she was a good choice. I thought Dash was maybe a little silly for putting her on the unprotected list. But, I mean, they also had other people on their protected list that were pretty important, so I get it. But yeah, I think she's going to be pretty good for them. Just on height alone, honestly.
I believe she was another Florida State alum, so that
Yep.
could have something to do with her being unprotected and being taken, but um, that's another thought. Jen, what are your thoughts? I know she played for Washington also previously, so do you have any thoughts on her being selected by Orlando? Words are hard.
Yeah. I mean, she is another one that I would probably have to agree and say she might have asked to be left unprotected because she played for FSU, but I think she was also born in Melbourne. So, I mean, she was kind of born and raised here. But she did play for Washington, and she had, I want to say, just shy of like 20 games with us before she got traded. And I mean, she's always been a good player in the sense that, even when she is young and even when she's maybe trying to find her footing and stuff, she's always really eager to learn and always really eager to, put her best foot forward and put in the extra work when necessary. So I think she'll do well in Orlando because Tom Sermani is the kind of coach that is going to cling to that, and he'll be able to do amazing things with her, I think. So I definitely think Presley is going to be huge for that back line.
All right. This might be a controversial statement, but I'm going to say it. I think Presley plays better when which I guess is true for most players, but it's most noticeable with her, plays better when she's somewhere she wants to be. She got traded to Western New York, was not great for Western New York. Wasn't terrible either, but wasn't necessarily as effective as I think that they would have liked for her to be. And I don't know that she really wanted to be there. I think, unfortunately, it's a struggle for a lot of people to go to the Flash. Because of their location, it's cold, and kind of out there, and it's the whole thing with the team and everything like that. But then she got traded to Houston, which I don't know if she knew people in Houston or wanted to be in. You could tell she wanted to be in Houston and was excited to have been traded. That was pretty evident when she was traded, and then just was great for Houston. So. Wanting to be in Florida, being from Florida, playing for Florida State, I think we will continue to see her perform really well because it's somewhere that she really wants to be, and I think that she's really excited about it, and I think that makes a difference. I think that makes a difference. So, I think it's a great pick. I think they obviously the lineup will change, but it seemed her and Hemmings back there and the center backs and the back liner is going to be great because I think they balance each other out well. Hemmings is not necessarily tall. She's tall, but does not necessarily have Presley's kind of height, but maybe a little bit quicker. Although maybe a little bit quicker, and Presley's got that height and all that. So and effective in the box too on corner kicks and free kicks and stuff like that as well. So I don't have a problem with that one. Good job, Orlando. High fives. Maddie Evans. I know a lot of people were super sad that Evans was left unprotected, and were like, "Oh my God, if they take her." I think they were brilliant for taking her because if you leave Maddie Evans out there, why would you not take her? But yeah, go to you first. Jen, what are your thoughts on the selection of Maddie Evans?
I really like Maddie Evans, and I was a little bit shocked that Boston did leave her unprotected.
Yeah.
I can't blame that one on FSU because I think she's a Penn State alum, so that doesn't work out. So I'm not sure why they left her unprotected. I mean, she still could have asked to be left unprotected. I don't know, but I think that was Boston's bad, and Orlando gets to reap the benefits of that. Maddie Evans to me has always been kind of like that player that you can kind of stick anywhere. And she'll make things happen. You can put her in midfield. You can put her in defense. You can put her as a central holding midfielder. Whatever you need her to do, she's always up for the challenge. And I think that's where she's gonna come in big time for Orlando because we've already mentioned they're lacking positions in the defense right now, and I feel like they did go very offense heavy during the expansion draft. So maybe having a central defending midfielder like Maddie Evans would be able to help them in their defense.
Makes sense. Karen, anything to add?
Yeah, I think for Boston, Maddie Evans was like that Bruin kind of player who's kind of under the radar, but gets shit done. Sorry. But, like, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't get a lot of attention. Like, Mewis gets a lot of the attention for Boston because she's great. But I think Maddie Evans, like Jen said, you can put her anywhere, and she's going to get the job done. Just like how they put Sauerbrunn in midfield for a little while, and she was awesome. You can't say anything bad about how she played in midfield because she can go anywhere, and she'll be awesome. So I think that's Maddie Evans for Boston, and I have no idea why they left her unprotected. I'm going to benefit of and say that they didn't do it on purpose. Like, maybe she asked to be unprotected because she wanted to go elsewhere. I don't know, but she was huge for Boston, so it's a little bit concerning. I don't know who they would get to replace a player like that, but good on her. Hopefully she does well. Wish the best for her because she's awesome. Yeah, that was bad.
I got the vibe from Serrani in like the media conference that like I don't know like if he specifically was like I want Maddie Evans necessarily. Like it sounds like she was someone that he did like some research on because he mentioned like just getting good reports out of Boston from the Breakers about her, and so I don't know if she was one of those players where he was like I need someone for this position, and I mean because it seems like, again, according to, like, the mock-up, I don't remember where this was posted. Equalizer maybe did it, but it was, like, a mock-up, kind of like a draft, like a whiteboard of the lineup. It seems like she and Kaylin Kyle will play a similar role on the team. And, again, if you have Olympics and Kaylin Kyle's gone for, like, a chunk of time, like, or, like, they can split, Kaylin Kyle's not necessarily, well, maybe, in Portland wasn't necessarily, like, a starter, but could be in Orlando or something that her and Evans could figure out, have duke it out for, things like that. But it seems like they'll be playing similar roles. But yeah, I don't know if it was just someone that was like, oh, I need someone in that position, so like let's just kind of scout, or if he knew anything about her beforehand. But I think it's a great pick for the Pride because she's great, and like I feel like the Breaker woes continue. I mean, they did get they got some good players in their trade. I mean, they got Zerboni, who's good, and they got Farrelly, who we don't know wants to play in Boston. But, a lot of people were kind of concerned about their the trade they made. They get, giving way to, like, draft picks and stuff like that. So I think also losing Evans is kind of like, oh, Boston. But we'll see what happens. It'll be great. It's always fun to see how these things work out. And then finally, Aubrey Bledsoe from Sky Blue was taken as a backup goalkeeper, which I think is an outstanding choice just because, just speaking again from what Sermani said, she's someone who he has a lot of faith in and thinks that could challenge Ashlyn, and he's someone who he has a lot of confidence in, when Ashlyn's gone, that can just step in and, like, do awesome and win games. So, Jen, thoughts on that?
I love Aubrey Bledsoe. Like, she's huge for me. I've watched her play at Wake Forest, and she ended up with the shutout record for Wake Forest. So she's huge. She plays in, where is it now, Fortuna, I think?
Yep, it is.
So she's getting experience over there with those players. She has a little bit of international experience with RU teams. So for me, that was a spot-on choice. I think that may have been maybe one of the lesser obvious choices because there were so many backup goalkeepers he could have chosen, but also one of the better choices. And, I kept, all season I was raving about Brittany Cameron, who Bledsoe had the opportunity to work under. She now has the opportunity to work under Ashlyn Harris and then step in for Ashlyn Harris during the Olympics. So I think she'll be phenomenal.
Karen, comments?
Yeah, and it makes me think of like the Hope Solo with Haley Kottmeyer thing. Like there isn't a better goalkeeper that you could be working with than Hope Solo, right? I mean, ridiculous. But second best is Ashlyn Harris, right? So I feel like you saw Betos working under Hope Solo, and then look, she's Portland's best goalkeeper. I thought she was better than Angerer towards the end there. So, I mean, that's what you get with young players who might be like the second string keeper under somebody who's really good, but later on they go on to be first string for somebody else's team because they've learned a lot. So that's how I see things working for her. Working under Ashlyn Harris is going to be awesome for her. She's already a really good goalkeeper. What we saw from her was awesome. She has an awesome record outside of NWSL. And she's super young. She's going to be like 24 soon or something like that. So she's really young. And there's that opportunity for her to grow in this program. And it's definitely somebody that Tom Sermani can work on and make into a really, really good keeper when Ashlyn Harris is off U.S. Women's National Team duty. So that was a really, really smart choice.
And she's had Champions League experience playing for Fortuna right now also, and like I think they're still in Champions. I think they are like dominated their last team they played. So she still has Champions League experience also, and I think she's been getting the start in like a full 90 and shutouts, clean sheets for in Champions League games. So I think that's just going to be a really great confidence booster for her. She's playing. Nadim is over there too, so it's nice to play with, even though they're not teammates anymore. It's nice to play with someone that you're familiar with, and I think that will be able to help her learn over there as well, even though they're different positions. So I think that was a great pick. I was super pumped about that. So there they are, people. Let us know what your thoughts are about the picks. We expect to see some trades. I was going to talk about trades, but we need to get to another thing. But I just will ask, like, is there anyone who, because then there might not be, because I can't think of any right now, is there anyone who you think that was drafted that you like right away could see not staying on the Pride? We'll go with Jen first.
I know a lot of people are up in the air about it. I'm still expecting to see an Ellie Krieger trade. I really am. So I expect one of the defenders maybe to come to Washington. That's my theory. Maybe not necessarily right away, but at some point I'm definitely expecting that.
Yeah, that's something that I think one of the questions is what else do the Pride have to trade to the Spirit? Because you can't, for Allie Krieger, you can't do just a defender swap. Like, you can't send someone like Hemmings up to, Hemmings is great, but you can't send Hemmings up to DC and be like, send us Allie Krieger. It's not how that works.
Well, hey, they have international spots they can trade now.
Well, actually, that's clever. We are going to go back to that because that's a thing, but that's a great point. Mm-hmm. So we will see what happens there. Karen, anyone that you think maybe who was drafted is going to just a temporary home for them for the time being?
Toni Pressley, because they didn't put her picture up, right? No, I don't. They're like, who cares? She's not even going to be on our team anyway. They just put this picture up. I think that's her. Okay.
Plot twist, it's actually Jess McDonald going to Orlando.
Oh, there you go. No, I mean, I can't. I'm looking at the names right now. I don't think so, honestly. Not that I can think of right now, at least.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there with Allie Krieger. I know a lot of people are thinking about that also, and I guess we'll see what happens with that. Again, they don't really have a whole lot to give because they put a whole lot into getting Alex Morgan over here.
Yes, they did.
However, as Jen Hayes mentioned and asked us about, so we'll bring it up, we found out today that the Orlando Pride was given an extra international spot for the next 2 seasons, which...
Yay!
So, essentially, sorry all you Houston Dash fans, because, like, did not get afforded the same... So, essentially, let's play a game here. And I think I'm more annoyed about this because Alex Morgan's involved also. So, let's play a game. They traded one of their international spots for the next 2 years as part of getting Alex Morgan. They traded those things. They traded those to the Thorns. Okay, bye. They're gone. And now the NWSL is just kind of like, no, you can have those right back. Here you go. So essentially, like So I can't form thoughts. We'll go. Karen, thoughts on them getting one new international spot for the next 2 years? They still essentially have as many spots as they did before they traded for Alex Morgan. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Here's the thing about Orlando Pride, and I'm definitely gonna be making a lot of enemies right now.
I got my eject button ready just in case.
Eject me, do it. You probably should, honestly, because the season hasn't even started. The drafting hasn't even started, really. And I'm already kind of pissed. I'm kind of mad because Houston Dash was so adorable and awesome when they came into the NWSL, right? They were super cute, and they were just like, yay, thank you for giving me these players. We're so excited. And everybody was like, oh, yay, a new team. We're all excited. This is so exciting. And then Orlando comes in. And they're like the new kid on the block that's like super cool and like coming in like smoking a cigarette like, oh hey, so we want. So first of all, like these guys just seem like a bunch of MLS like dunderheads who don't really know anything about women's soccer. Because if they did, they would know that Megan Klingenberg is not named Morgan Klingenberg. Who decided to get a marketing person that didn't know that, first of all? And, like, the whole Washington Pride / Freedoms / no, they didn't even know that they were Washington Pride. Washington Freedoms / Dash, that whole thing. And now they're getting afforded all of these international spots again when they traded them. It's just a whole lot of what's going on here. Like, they're like the cool kids, and everybody's like, oh, cool, Orlando Pride. And I don't know, I just feel like it's a lot more negative. I'm getting a lot of negative vibes from Orlando Pride, whereas when Houston Dash came, it was super cool and fun and positive. And I just think that the whole new stadium thing, and they're just kind of full of themselves. And I just made 1,075 different enemies. But
I'm gonna do one better for after I go to Jen. I'm gonna make more enemies than you are, so that's fine. It'll be okay. But
I'm really tired of the general attitude. Like, why are they getting so much shit? I don't get it. When other teams didn't get... Houston Dash did not get this. And I just don't... I don't know if it's Alex Morgan or what. Honestly, the only person that I'm backing right now on that team is Tom Servani, because I can't go against that guy because I think he's just a giant Scottish teddy bear and I love him. But but yeah, I'm just very negative about Orlando Pride right now because they're giving me negative feelings back. I just feel like they are a bunch of smarmy buttheads who are like, look at us, we're so cool, look at all these cool people we have on our team, we have all of this money, we're part of MLS, oh look, now we get all of these international blah 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 blah, and I'm tired of it. Sorry, that was really long.
You're good.
I won't do it at the end. That was not it.
Jen, any additional comments to that?
Of course, because we're all going to make all of the enemies on this show today.
Why not? It can't be worse than the time that DJ pissed off the One Direction fan, so it can't be worse than that. Although Alex Morgan does have a lot of like yelling, screaming people, so that might be a thing.
I really do. I love her on the national team, but for some reason, when she gets into NWSL, I'm like, girl, what's going on?
See, and
the hat's back.
The hat's up. Oh man.
Just do your thing with the hat. Jen, we'll go back over to your thoughts.
that's where I'm gonna get in trouble because I'm about to bring up Alex Morgan. So hey,
Hey, I was gonna if you didn't. So we're both just gonna be in trouble. We're all in trouble. Everyone's in trouble. Bring it on. Let's go.
Fabulous. For me, this all started when Orlando had to put on their big pants of entitlement and say, we're only going to join the league this year if we get Alex Morgan. Otherwise, you all are going to wait on us, and, we'll expand when we feel like expanding. And that was absolutely ridiculous. You don't just, no, you don't get to make shots like that when you're trying to get to be the newest team in the league. What? No, you don't even have a coach. Sit down. You don't even go here. So, I
don't even go here.
It started for me then, and then since then it's gotten worse because that sense of entitlement for me just kind of continued, and I think that's a lot of what you're talking about, Karen, where it's like, well, we should get all of this stuff because we have all of this money, and Orlando City is huge now, even though we're really not, but we're, the only sports team Florida can brag about because every other sports team in Florida sucks. So it's, I think, just this idea of we should get all of this new stuff because we did you a favor by joining the league this year, and it's like, no, you really didn't. You didn't, I promise. But you can keep Alex Morgan and Leanne Sanderson down in Orlando, and that's fine. And at some point, the peninsula will break off, and you can go be your own little island, and it's fine. It's great. It's good. So yeah, I completely agree with Karen. Actually, they're not. They annoy me.
Of Bugs Bunny slicing Florida off of. That's what I was thinking.
No, I actually.
It's gonna be me and bunny ears. Just.
I actually think that there was some talk on Twitter from people who I won't throw out there because in case something ever does happen to Florida, but there was some chat on if the Pride took Maddie Evans that some of the Breaker fans were going to go all on up there and detach Florida from the rest of the country.
Yo,
I mean, if you could wait until after this week, that'd be great.
Yeah, because I'm there now. I'm in Orlando right now. Please do not detach me from the
rest. So there's that. I mean, I agree with everything that was said, and Jen did the Alex Morgan thing. So I just will. I won't leave you out there and to hang out. I will say I agree with all that. So be mad at all of us. That's fine. I will say this is the diplomatic part of me. I will say obviously having a 10th team in the league is awesome for the league, and I think we all I will say we all feel that way. Us as individuals, us as a show, we all feel that way. Anytime the league can expand, especially since after 3 years, it's been gone previously. So I think the fact that we're not only having another year, we're expanding in that year is outstanding. I think we all can agree with that. Having 10 teams can help balance schedule. It's great. But I do agree that I think kind of the team, and I think we have to place some blame on the NWSL too because they are allowing this to happen. I don't want to just crap all over Orlando coming in and being like, we want these things, which they did, but NWSL is also saying, yep, sure, have fun. We'll give you the, well, yeah, sure, why not? And by awarding them those spots back, they're just making up rules this wasn't a thing that was afforded to expansion. It's not if you're expansion, you get this because the Dash didn't. So we're just making up stuff right now. So that's super awkward and uncomfortable and not how you run a league, but that's fine. So I think some blame has to go for to NWSL also, and I think we're all happy that the Pride is in the league. Don't get us wrong, but I just think that it's the way that some of the things, some of the things have gone down have kind of been questionable, and like you guys said, kind of gave negative feelings for people the wrong way. So, I guess great. So I mean, they can have those spots. They can trade those spots again. If they were planning on having one less spot when they traded for Alex Morgan, they can technically trade those international spots again. So who knows? Some team, maybe the Spirit, will end up with a defender in another international spot. I don't know. But
No.
you know what? It happened, and so I think that that's kind of crazy. But there it is. So essentially, part of what they paid for Alex Morgan. They didn't though. So, and maybe that's why I don't know if this was like a long planned thing, and all of us were like, they got so much for Alex Morgan. That's crazy. You know, who knows if they knew they were getting these spots back when they traded them, that would make sense because, you know, I think if I had known, oh, they're giving international spots, but they're getting them back, I would say like, okay, well they still gave too much for Alex Morgan, but like I wouldn't think it was as irrational as I did already. So I don't know if they knew that when they made that trade with Portland. I don't know if they knew they were going to be awarded 2 spots, and those spots they traded to Portland really didn't matter because they got them back anyways. I don't know. I don't know if that was like, hey, if you give Portland international spots for Alex Morgan because we want her to like be happy and go to Orlando and like we want you to join the league. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause that's what makes it sketchy. Because that's what it really seems like.
Yeah.
Orlando's like, oh, we want to join the league if Alex Morgan comes, and in order to make that happen, Portland's like, well, we want all this stuff, and they're like, hey, Orlando, if you give them these international spots to get Alex Morgan here, don't worry about it. We'll give him back to you. No problem. So it just seems really sketchy, and like I don't like sketchy, and I think in a sport where like the league is, you know, still developing and things like that, I think you need to not have sketchiness. I think you need to be more forthcoming and consistent and straightforward, and I think that that's, you know, I don't think it's going to necessarily have like a long-term impact. People are going to be mad about it and then be like, okay, whatever, yay, NWSL, we like love you, but like it's just a sour thing, but.
Yeah, I think just
Oh, sorry, I gotta go back.
the principle of it,
Boop, there you are.
very unprofessional. I think that this new team is coming in, and their marketing is awful. All of the mistakes that they were making, people think that, like, maybe people think I'm making too huge of a deal out of it, but for me it is a huge deal because people are looking at the NWSL as this women's sports league that's trying to get off the ground. We've made it to the 4th year, that's awesome. But we need to keep things consistent and professional. Across the board, NWSL needs to be consistent and professional. And to me, all of the mistakes that Orlando Pride made with the wrong picture, the wrong name, for entire teams, there's only 9 teams, you can't really get any of them wrong. It's easy. There's 9 teams. 10th one now. But it's so unprofessional, and then to give Houston Dash a set number and then change that number for the next team that comes in. Like, is the 11th team that comes in, are they going to get like 100 international? What are we doing? It's a slippery slope, okay? So they need to be consistent. And I thought that it was really unprofessional that they're not being consistent about a lot of different things, and really unprofessional. So that doesn't look good to people outside of the NWSL. It doesn't look good to me, and I just think that that's really stupid and silly, and I don't like it.
All right. Well, hey everyone, let us know what your thoughts are about that topic and any. Jen Hayes says, "Preach, ladies, preach." Agree 150%. Thanks, Jen. 150 billion%. So that's really awesome. But yeah, let us know, even if, you know, we're about to sign off, but even if you watch the show later on, and maybe you're not watching it live, but you're watching it later, and you have comments or thoughts on anything that we've talked about tonight, expansion draft players, trades potentially, the international spot drama, tweet at us. We'll still hit you back. You know, won't get you on air, obviously, but we're happy to chat with you over social media. So let us know what your thoughts are. And that being said, any last minute thoughts before we call it a day?
I have a couple of things. It's not a rant.
Okay.
You
used your rant time already, so.
I did. I was just curious about why Kansas City left Amy LaPelbit unprotected. Is there like an inkling of something like where she's gonna be retiring soon or what? Because she was one of the best defenders in the entire league during 2015 season, and I was just curious as to why they would keep her unprotected. It just seemed weird to me.
Sure. I mean, I can comment on some of that just based on the media call afterwards. I was asked about why they took nobody from Kansas City, and I think that, you know, Sermani mentioned both LaPelbit and Jen Buskowski by name. I know Buskowski has hinted that she might be done. I don't think we've seen anything from LaPelbit, but I think people have that inkling. And he had mentioned, I think maybe Kansas City just thought, her and Buskowski might be retiring or thinking about it, and so that if they're going to lose them anyways, might as well leave them unprotected. If Orlando wanted to take a gamble on it, Sermani and the rest of the folk in the press conference really mentioned not necessarily not wanting to take a gamble on them, and so and they mentioned specifically the fact that there was an inkling that they would be retiring or might be retiring or thinking about it at least, and I know that's why Orlando didn't take them, or part of the reason why Orlando didn't take them, so that could also be part of the reason why Kansas City left them unprotected, because if they have an idea, if you can only protect so many people and you have an idea that these players might not return, then why not? Why not use the protection on people who you really want to have? Leanne Brown was left unprotected also when she retired, so I think that might have been somebody else that they had thought, oh, she's not coming back, so we're not going to waste a protected spot on her. So it could just be maybe they know things that we don't, but I know Buskowski has mentioned publicly that this might be it for her, so and LaPelbit, I think people have that same inkling. So that's, I think, why they were left unprotected, and also why they weren't picked, why they didn't take anyone from Kansas City either. So.
Thank you. I was just curious about that. I was like, I don't think I heard anything about her retiring, but that could be why.
Yep. Anything else while we're still here? Or we good? All set? All right, I'll take the silence as us being all set. Thanks for watching Off the Post. Like I said, let us know what your thoughts are about everything that we talked about today. Stay tuned. I think we have a bit of a break. There's not really anything going on in the month of November as far as national team games go or anything like that. So, obviously, if there's like a couple weeks where there's like a bunch of trades happening, we'll probably wait a while and have a show about a compiling of trades. Just check our social media for when we're going to be on next. If anything newsworthy pops up, we'll definitely hop on. Otherwise, we don't really have anything planned right away, but we'll be on social media as always. So hit us up and let us know what you think. Later, everyone. Bye.
Bye.